Every day, billions of people spend an average of 4 hours glued to their smartphone screens. That's almost 60 full days a year. We live in an era where postponing important tasks has transformed from a common human weakness into a true digital epidemic. According to recent research, 70% of students admit to regularly delaying their studies due to digital distractions. Among working adults, this figure reaches 65%. Our smartphones are checked an average of 150 times a day, every 6 waking minutes. Behind these dry figures lies a revolutionary change in the nature of procrastination. If before we might have put off work to watch TV or call a friend, today, a source of endless entertainment is always in our pocket. The world of endless stimulation has become a trap, skillfully disguised as progress. Technologies created to save us time have paradoxically become its main thieves. What is digital procrastination? It's not just postponing tasks. It's a new form of avoiding responsibility, amplified by technology. Unlike traditional procrastination, its digital version has unique features. First and foremost, it's characterized by the instant availability of distractions. We no longer need to get out of our chairs to find a way to avoid an important task. A single tap on the screen is enough. The second difference is the endlessness of digital entertainment. When one video ends, the algorithm has already prepared the next. When the news feed runs out, just pull down to get a new portion of content. The third feature is the fragmentation of attention. Digital procrastination shatters our consciousness into small fragments, each existing in the space between notifications. We no longer postpone tasks for an hour or a day. We postpone them for minutes and seconds, returning to distractions again and again. The fourth characteristic is the illusion of productivity. By checking work email on weekends or reading professional articles instead of writing a report, we deceive ourselves into thinking we are busy with something important. The fifth trait is the social approval of procrastination. The culture of procrastination memes normalizes this behavior, turning it from a problem into a common joke. Finally, digital procrastination is distinguished by its imperceptibility. We rarely realize that we are procrastinating when we check our smartphone for the 100th time a day. This invisibility makes it particularly dangerous, turning it into a habit that is difficult to recognize and even harder to overcome. Our brain is an amazing system, having evolved over millions of years. But what is happening now is unprecedented in human history. Every notification on a smartphone triggers a release of dopamine in the brain, a neurotransmitter of pleasure and reward. That very chemical messenger, which evolutionarily was supposed to encourage us to find food and reproduce, is now activated dozens of times an hour by flickering lights on the screen. The brain is literally restructuring itself to this new reality. Neuroscientists at Stanford University have found that constant switching between tasks and applications forms new neural pathways, oriented towards rapid focus shifting rather than deep concentration. This phenomenon has been called digital neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt to the digital environment, often at the expense of other cognitive functions. Particularly alarming is what is happening to our reward system. Social networks use the mechanism of variable reinforcement, the same principle that makes gambling so addictive. We never know when we will receive another dose of dopamine, a new like, comment, or message. This unpredictability makes digital platforms incredibly attractive to our brain, which is evolutionarily tuned to search for patterns and predict rewards. Simultaneously, the activity of the prefrontal cortex decreases, the area responsible for planning, decision-making, and self-control. Constant digital noise depletes its resources, making us more impulsive and less able to resist the temptation of procrastination. Behind every digital platform we use daily, there's an entire army of specialists whose task is to capture our attention at any cost. Modern applications and websites are not just services, but meticulously designed traps for the mind, utilizing a deep understanding of human psychology. Nir Eyal, author of Quote, calls this system the Quote, a four-step process that transforms casual interaction into a persistent habit. Trigger, action, variable reward, and investment. These are the stages of this psychological cycle. The trigger is a notification or a red dot signaling a new message. The action is a simple gesture, a single click or swipe. The reward is unpredictable content, which can be either disappointing or extremely gratifying. And the investment is the time we spend setting up a profile, uploading photos, or creating content. Particularly effective is the technique of variable reinforcement, borrowed from Skinner's experiments. Like pigeons pressing a lever in hopes of getting grain, we endlessly refresh our feeds, awaiting another dopamine hit. Infinite scrolling is another tool for retaining attention. The absence of a natural stopping point makes us continue viewing for much longer than intended. Gamification turns app usage into a kind of game, with a system of achievements, badges, and ratings. The fear of missing out, FOMO, is skillfully exploited through limited-time stories and live broadcasts. All these mechanisms work in concert, creating an environment that is increasingly difficult to resist. Our brains, evolutionarily unadapted to such intense and frequent stimuli, find themselves defenseless against this digital architecture of addiction. Imagine a world where information pours over us in an endless stream. We drown in an ocean of data, where each wave brings new facts, opinions, and entertainment. In this informational abundance lies a paradoxical phenomenon. The more choices we have, the harder it is for us to decide on something specific. Psychologist Barry Schwartz called this phenomenon the paradox of choice. When endless possibilities open up before us, decision-making turns into an agonizing process. We fear missing out on the best option, freeze in indecision, and ultimately postpone the choice. Our brain is not evolutionarily adapted to process such a large number of alternatives. When ancient man chose between two paths in the forest, it did not cause cognitive overload. But when modern man chooses between hundreds of TV series, thousands of books, and millions of videos, his thinking apparatus simply capitulates. This state is called analysis paralysis, a cognitive stupor that arises when trying to process too much information at once. We get stuck in endless comparison of options, weighing pros and cons, reading reviews and feedback. But instead of making a decision, we continue to scroll through the feed in search of even more complete information, even more accurate data, and so on indefinitely. Information overeating has the same symptoms as food overeating: heaviness, discomfort, a feeling of satiety, which is paradoxically followed by new hunger. We consume content without having time to digest it, and as a result we experience not satisfaction, but emptiness. This phenomenon is directly related to procrastination. When we cannot decide where to start an important project, we plunge into an information search that creates the illusion of productivity. We convince ourselves that we are collecting necessary data, studying methodologies, analyzing the experience of others. But in reality, this is just a sophisticated form of postponing real actions. We live in an era where everything must happen here and now. Pressed a button, got a result. Sent a message, saw an instant reply. The culture of instant gratification destroys a fundamental skill that for centuries defined human success: the ability to wait for a greater reward in the future. The famous marshmallow experiment, conducted in the 60s, showed that children capable of delaying gratification achieved greater success in adult life. Today, this experiment is unwittingly being conducted on society as a whole, and the results are disheartening. Our tolerance for waiting is rapidly decreasing. Studies show that modern humans lose patience if a web page loads for more than 3 seconds. 3 seconds! Social media exacerbates the problem by creating a distorted picture of reality. We see others' achievements, but not the effort behind them. Success appears as something instantaneous, not as the result of sustained effort. This creates false expectations and undermines motivation for long-term work. Particularly dangerous is the loss of the ability to tolerate boredom. Boredom is not just an unpleasant state. It is a crucial cognitive process during which the brain integrates information and generates new ideas. By constantly filling these pauses with digital noise, we deprive ourselves of space for creativity and introspection. Our brain no longer knows how to be alone with itself, constantly demanding new stimulation. This is a deep erosion of self-control, turning us into slaves of momentary impulses. Paradoxically, in a world of endless digital stimulation, we have encountered a new psychological phenomenon: digital boredom. This state radically differs from the traditional boredom that people have experienced for centuries. If classical boredom arose from a lack of stimulation, then digital boredom is the result of its excess. We constantly receive new impressions, but they are superficial and fragmentary, failing to provide deep emotional or intellectual satisfaction. Our mind, overloaded with informational noise, paradoxically feels empty. We scroll through social media feeds, switch videos, jump between apps, and yet experience a strange sense of meaninglessness in what is happening. Neuroscientists explain, constant yet superficial stimulation depletes the brain's reward system. Dopamine receptors become dulled, requiring more and more stimulation to achieve the same pleasure. This state resembles drug tolerance. We consume more content, but receive less satisfaction. Digital boredom is dangerous because it creates a vicious circle. Feeling empty? We seek even more digital entertainment, which only exacerbates the problem. The impact of this state on our ability to perform complex tasks is particularly alarming. Accustomed to instant stimulation, the brain loses the ability to find internal motivation for sustained concentration. Any task requiring effort and not providing instant reward causes resistance and a desire to return to the familiar flow of easy entertainment. Social networks have not just become a part of our lives, they have transformed into the most powerful catalyst for procrastination, operating according to their own unique laws. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook employ an entire arsenal of psychological mechanisms that compel us to return again and again, postponing important tasks. At the core of this influence lies the mechanism of social comparison. As we scroll through our feeds, our brain continuously compares our own lives with filtered, idealized versions of others' destinies. This evokes a complex mix of emotions, from envy to insecurity, which drains our psychological energy and motivation. Studies show that even 15 minutes of such comparison significantly lowers self-esteem and the desire to tackle difficult tasks. FOMO, the fear of missing out, plays a special role. This phenomenon forces us to constantly check notifications, fearing we might miss an important event, news, or discussion. FOMO creates an illusion of urgency, turning a simple check of social media into a priority task, pushing truly important matters aside. The infinite scroll is another powerful tool for attention retention. The absence of a natural stopping point deprives us of the moment of conscious choice. to continue or to stop. Algorithms skillfully throw increasingly engaging content our way precisely when we are close to disengaging from the screen. We find ourselves trapped in endless scrolling, losing track of time and postponing real tasks. In a world of endless digital temptations, we need concrete defense strategies. A digital detox isn't a complete rejection of technology, but rather the creation of conscious boundaries for its use. Start by reviewing your notifications. Most of them don't require an immediate reaction. Keep only the truly important ones, disabling all others. Research shows that each interruption by a notification requires approximately 23 minutes to fully return to the task. Create technology-free zones in your home and office. A gadget-free bedroom improves sleep quality by 30%. A dinner table without smartphones restores the depth of human connection. Allocate deep work intervals in your schedule. Periods of 60 to 90 minutes when you are completely digitally unavailable. Protect these intervals as the most valuable parts of your day. Master mindful content consumption. Before opening an app, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Set a specific intention and time frame. Use a timer when browsing social media. It's a simple but effective way to avoid endless scrolling. Practice digital twilight, a period of 1 to 2 hours before bed when you abstain from screens. The blue light from displays suppresses melatonin production, disrupting natural sleep cycles. Replace evening scrolling with reading a physical book, talking to loved ones, or meditation. Use technology against technology. Apps that block distracting websites, screen time trackers, and automatic Do Not Disturb modes will be your allies in the fight against digital procrastination. Remember, the goal is not to completely abandon the digital world, but to regain control over your attention and time. In the modern world, where attention has become the most scarce resource, the ability for sustained concentration has transformed into a true superpower. Fortunately, this ability can be restored through specific techniques and regular practice. Mindfulness meditation is the first and most effective tool in this arsenal. Even 5 minutes of daily practice observing your breath significantly strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for maintaining attention. Start with 1 minute and gradually increase the duration. The Pomodoro technique is another powerful method for training concentration. 25 minutes of complete immersion in a task, followed by a 5-minute break. Such intervals of deep work gradually accustom the brain to a state of flow, where time and distractions cease to exist. The practice of monotasking counters the modern culture of multitasking, which actually reduces brain efficiency by 40%. Choose one activity, be it reading, writing, or even washing dishes, and perform it with full attention, noticing when thoughts begin to wander. Deep reading exercises help restore the ability for sustained attention. Start with 10 pages of a physical book without breaks or distractions. Gradually increase the volume, and you will notice how the forgotten pleasure of complete immersion in the text returns. The digital boundaries technique is also critically important. Set specific periods of the day for checking email and messages, instead of constantly reacting to notifications. This returns control over your attention to your hands. Our digital space often becomes not an assistant, but an obstacle to productivity. Creating the right digital ecosystem is key to overcoming procrastination. Start by auditing the applications on your devices. Delete everything that doesn't bring real benefit. Studies show that the average user regularly uses only 9 out of 30 installed applications. The rest is digital ballast, creating visual noise and temptations. Organize your home screen according to the principle of mindfulness. Only productivity tools should be in direct visibility. Entertainment applications should be moved to distant screens or into folders that require additional actions for access. This simple barrier forces you to make a conscious choice rather than succumbing to impulse. Set up notifications asymmetrically. Work tools can interrupt you. Entertainment cannot. Use specialized blocker applications that create a technical impossibility of procrastination during certain hours. They range from soft reminders to radical solutions that completely block access to distracting sites. Automate routine tasks. Every decision drains your willpower. Set up automatic payments, email filters, message templates. The fewer micro-decisions you have to make, the more mental energy remains for important tasks. Create different digital spaces for work and leisure. If possible, use separate devices, or at least different browsers and accounts. This forms clear mental boundaries between productivity and entertainment. Remember, technology is a tool that should serve your goals, not control your attention. We stand on the threshold of a new era of human-technology interaction. Artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and pervasive automation promise to radically change our approach to productivity. What will this transformation be like? Techno-optimists paint a picture of a world where algorithms handle routine tasks, freeing the human mind for creativity. Techno-pessimists warn of a further blurring of the lines between work and leisure, reality and virtuality. The truth, likely, lies somewhere in the middle. Virtual reality creates unprecedented opportunities for procrastination. When the digital environment becomes indistinguishable from the physical, our ability to distinguish between productive and unproductive behavior may be at risk. Already today, researchers are noting the phenomenon of virtual dissociation, a state where a person is psychologically present in the digital world, completely disconnected from reality. This is a new form of escapism, requiring new approaches to self-control. Artificial intelligence can become both an ally and an adversary in the fight against procrastination. Personalized productivity support systems will analyze our behavioral patterns and gently guide us towards more effective solutions. However, the same algorithms can be used to capture our attention even more precisely. The future of productivity lies in the development of a new type of digital literacy. Not just the ability to use technology, but the ability to establish healthy relationships with it. We will have to learn a new form of self-control, based not on a complete rejection of digital pleasures, but on their conscious integration into life.